Hello, how are you? This is Matthew with Love Buddy with Loveathon. We're just wrapping up now. We're finishing up. This is the final video for the phase one. I've been online every hour on the hour for 48 hours now. It's been a real challenge, but I wanted to be able to get the message out. I wanted to be able to share the message with people about the Love Buddy project and about how important love is in our lives and how love is a solution for the problems that we have in the world. Love is a solution. And it may sound like a crazy idea, it may sound like a vague idea, it might sound like a pie in the sky idea, but it really is true. Because when it comes to love, we're talking about being compassionate, being understanding, being nurturing and kind and patient and communicating with other people. And it requires these things in order for us to get along in this world, for us to work together on the more important issues. And those important issues are solving problems like poverty and disease and the children that are dying from our neglect, from lack of healthy foods, lack of simple medicines. We have 15,000 children that are dying every day because of that. So there are definitely wars that are going on that are ridiculous wars that aren't necessary at all. When all of us want the same basic things in life, we want good, healthy food, we want weddings, we want happy families, we want happy, bouncing babies, we want to see the children graduate and have careers, and we all want to actualize and become the best version of ourselves that we can. What's preventing that? Lack of love in the world. If you understand what love is, the qualities that I just mentioned, that's what's missing. And that's not what's in the front of people's minds. What's in the front of a lot of people's minds? Well, they've given up, so they don't think about how to improve the problems in the world. They look to the governments that a lot of times the governments are actually causing these problems. What's in the front of their minds? They're distracted by their work. They're distracted by some TV show. They're distracted by some popular news about a pop star. Who's getting married? Which pop star is getting married, or something like that. So the common person has no ability to bridge from here's where I am in my home to how can I have an effect on the world? How can I improve the world? What can I do to make the world a better place? And because of that, people do nothing. People end up doing nothing. People end up not taking the time, and very few people have the time. I've had the time because I've made sure in my life that I did have the time to understand these problems. And so from my analysis and my experience with different religions and going to different cultures and different countries and different self-help programs and things like that, I've come to the clear conclusion about why love is the answer and what exactly that love is that makes love the answer. Because to people, a lot of times they don't understand the definition of love and what love is, and even less, they don't know how to apply that solution either to their own lives or other people's lives, and they really don't see that that can make a difference. But the average person in America, when I lived in America traveling in different places around the country, I know America is the best. I know the America best. The reason why is because I was born there, and I'm a Native American, a Native person born in the United States. So I understand that culture the best, and the average person there isn't actualized at all. People have a lot of privilege. There are a lot of people that have a lot of privilege. There are a lot of people in the inner cities in America that have no privilege at all. It's really messed up, and because they don't feel loved or cared for by anybody, and because they're living in squalor, because the situation is so difficult for them, a lot of times they strike out. A lot of times they commit crimes. A lot of times they feel so desperate. And we have problems with drug use. People don't understand what's going on there. And there isn't really any solutions being applied to the inner cities in America that are really making any kind of a difference. From my standpoint, things are getting worse. Some of the crime statistics are going down, but it's definitely not as a result of a good policy that's being applied by the leadership in America. What needs to happen is this. There need to be community centers. And in the community center, basic services are provided for people. So people can go there, they can volunteer. It's not free, it's not a handout. It's for people who can live geographically nearby. They can walk over there or ride a bicycle over there. They don't need to drive. It's not too far. And they can um, get food, healthy food. Well, there's a greenhouse there that produces vegetables, clothing, shelter. They can get some basic medical care. They can get some, they can have meetings and get together. They can get job advice. People can get clean water there. People can get free Wi-Fi there, free broadband there, so that they can spend some time on the internet. Maybe they can't afford that, or they don't have that, so they can get access to a computer. All of these services help a person to get what they need. You know, when we look at nurturing, we look at a baby, that we need to give the baby what the baby needs. What does the baby need? Well, if you're breastfeeding, that's a great nutrition at the beginning, and then when they get older, you start introducing healthy foods. You give the baby a nice, comfortable, clean bed. You keep the baby away from bugs and dogs that are going to bite them and things like that. So you give the child safety. You dress the child, food, clothing, shelter, clean water for the baby. Security, right? We protect the baby from attacks, from dangerous things. So all of these things that we need to do to nurture, all of us need that. We can nurture each other, but that's not what's happening. And people really notice that. And maybe if they don't notice it consciously, they definitely notice it unconsciously, that, hey, nobody seems to care about me in the world. So without us working together, without individual citizens working together, instead of constantly deferring all of your energy towards, you know, praying to God, waiting for God to do something, whether you believe in a God or not, God helps those that help themselves, right? If you believe in God. So God doesn't, if you believe in God, I don't think there's any God that would want you to do nothing and wait for something to come down from heaven, because that's not happening. People are dying every day. People are shooting each other. People are starving. People are committing crimes, and people are living in horrible lives right now. So whatever they think God is doing, God isn't really solving the problem. I think it takes us working together, whether you believe in God or not. It takes us cooperating and working together. It takes your average citizen to do something. It doesn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot, because there are certain people that are willing to pay for these community centers initially, build these community centers, and staff these community centers, and set them up and get them going. You have a full-time job, great. You're too busy, great. You don't need to do a lot. But what we're looking for is for people to sign up to the Love Buddy Project, so that we can build a team, so that we can build an army of peaceful people that want to take action, that aren't going to sit around and wait for the government or complain or just sit and watch TV because there's nothing they can do. Here's something people can do now. This is some action that individuals can take. They can be part of the Love Buddy Project, and they will see us make change. I'm building up the number of members for the Love Buddy community this year. So this month in October, our goal is to have 10,000 members and $10,000. November, it's going to be more. And December, it's going to be even more. And by the end of December, we're going to have enough resources so that we can get started on these community projects, so that we can talk to more people and build momentum, and have some people that are opinion leaders, people that are influencers, to get involved and actually support the project as well. So this is the grassroots beginning, and it's going to happen from grassroots people. And there is a way to do this. There is a way for individuals at the very grassroots level to help to make the world a better place. We don't need to wait for the government. We don't need to wait for, see whether or not President Trump is going to be impeached and things like that. Let's not sit around. Let's not wait. Let's take action, and let's work together, and let's build up an organization ourselves where we can make a difference. because it doesn't take a whole lot from every person, but it does take something. And it does take the people who have been doing nothing because they've been overwhelmed, they didn't know what to do, they don't want to give away to some charity, and they're not going to see any difference in that. People get frustrated. They feel like, I'm not going to waste my time, not going to waste my money on something that's not working. Well, this is something that I guarantee you, this is going to work. And so we need your support. We need you to be part of the project. We need you to join up. So please do that. Now, this is the 48th live video that I've done now in the last 2 days. I've gotten very little sleep. So I'm going to finish up this every hour on the hour phase 1 part of the Love Buddy Love-a-thon. And I'm going to phase into probably, I think it's going to be every 6 hours, 4 times a day. I'm going to be doing live updates because I need that time in between, not only to get rest, because I'm on a water fast right now, and I'm on the let's see, I'm on the 8th day of the water fast. So I need to take care of my body. I can't stress my body out too much, and these hourly videos have really been stressing out my body a lot. So I need uninterrupted sleep. But I also need to be able to work on the software for the website more and fix little bugs here and there or improve things here and there. And I also need to be able to promote to other people. I need to be able to send messages to people to ask them to please tell your friends, be part of the Love Buddy project, subscribe. There are free subscriptions, there are paid subscriptions. Do what you can, do what you like, do what makes sense to you, do what works. But I'll tell you the key thing. There are so many millions and millions, what is it, 350 million Americans? There are so many millions of Americans that aren't taking an active role in making the world a better place. And we need that. We need to transition, because right now the power is like this. There are people that are not motivated to help us. They really don't care about us. That's why the problems are chronic. That's why the problems don't go away, because the people that are in charge, they've never lived in poverty. They've never lived in desperation. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to live in the inner city. I know what it's like. I've done that. So I know what it's like to not have money to eat. And I've starved, from no food for several days when I was living in Malaysia. So the reason why that, I'm encouraging people to take a part in things because of this imbalance in power. So the people that are in charge are mostly people who have had all the nurturing in the world that you need, but not really much of a sense of nurturing others. They've been given everything they need. They've been raised in a nice, secure home, and they've been given schooling. They've been given advice by their neighbors and by their friends, by their family, by their friends of their family, and they've been able to get a better education, and they've been able to get a good job, and then they could become a leader in the government, and then they're making decisions for people that they have no clue what it's like to live as those people. And they're making cold-hearted decisions that aren't helping other people's lives because they really don't care. Look at so many of the police officers that end up hating the people in the inner city. A lot of these people that are criminals in the inner city are that because of desperation, because they're living in hell every day. And so the police come in and they have an altercation, something like that, and then the guy gets shot, the guy gets killed. The police come from the outside. We need to have the security inside the community, people that we know. How about that problem with Trayvon Martin? Was it that? And they killed the boy. Somebody comes in, they really don't know the guy. They really don't have a relationship. They don't know what's going on. So if you're trying to put your foot down and be super strict with someone who's a stranger, and that stranger has no respect for you because they don't know who the heck you are, you're going to end up having a power struggle. And a lot of times these power struggles ends up with somebody dying. We need to have the common sense, and we need to take the initiative to put a community center there where the security is working out of the community center, where the people that are in the security, they see the people that come in. When they go on their patrols and they're walking around the community, they know the neighbors, and they know the problem kids that are having trouble, that are acting out, and they know the people that are peaceful, and they understand the situation going on. So when some security problem arises, they know. It might sound really stupid, but this TV show, Andy Griffith, what was it, Mayberry, not Mayberry RFD, but yeah, the Andy Griffith show. You know, there was a local sheriff in a small town in one of the Carolinas, and there was a town drunk, and they knew the town drunk, and they would lock him up. But there was no animosity. There was no hatred there. He wasn't getting hurt. He wasn't getting punished. He wasn't getting beat up or shot by the police. Sometimes they had to lock him up, and he was okay. And then when he was sober, they let him go home. But they didn't let him hurt other people. And they made sure that he was accountable for his actions by locking him up and saying, look, till you're sober, till you're going to be good, you know, problems would come up with people that would have fights. There's a lot of domestic fights, a lot of domestic quarreling that goes on. A lot of times this turns out really bad. What about Child Protective Services? I've got a friend who's a lawyer that works with the victims of this draconian, fascist organization that'll steal the children from people. And recently in San Diego, they stole a child from a woman because they found drugs in her house. And in the custody of someone else, that child died. That child was killed. Blunt head force trauma. So the systems that we have right now, they're not working. And the key reason they're not working, the main reason, is because the individual working all day, they have no community center. They have no one to support them and help them. So they're on their own. People are on their own. They're working all day. They're exhausted. They go home. They eat junk food. They sit there on the couch. They watch TV. And they don't really pay attention to what's going on with the neighbors. They don't have any time or energy for anything else. If there's a place where people can go to help each other, if there's a place where people can support each other, if there's a place where people who have a little bit extra can share some resources, if there's a place where people can go if they're working every day, they can kick in on the weekend. They can go on the weekend. They can volunteer to help out in the greenhouse. They can volunteer to help out with whatever is needed in the community center. Community, building community, not only an online community, but a physical community building where you can go there. You can play. You can have entertainment. You can play ping pong or something like that. When we have larger community centers in the future, people can play basketball, or we could even have a baseball field or a soccer field or something like that. These are things that we could do locally, and people could go there, and they know the people there. They develop relationships there, and it's based upon the love qualities. So when we have problems that come up, we look to the love qualities. How can we be patient with each other? How can we be understanding? How can we communicate? How can we open our hearts to each other? When we have the foundation of love, then we know how to handle the problems that come up. If you do have any community centers, a lot of times the government will set up a community center, and it's basically, there's no guidance, there's no nurturing there. There's a place where you can play basketball, maybe. There's a place where you can play foosball, maybe. Maybe they have food pantries. Food pantry, I was involved in a food pantry a few years ago in Chicago on the South Side, in a very impoverished neighborhood, a very dangerous neighborhood. People would go there, they show their ID, they pick up a bag of groceries, whatever was available, and they take off. That was it. And the extent of the nurturing was was people sharing their religious dogma with them, which I don't know what good that's going to do for anybody. If they're having trouble in life and they need a job, they need nurturing. Now, any of the religious help that happens, that goes on when people will join a church, what helps their lives when they say, oh, when I found Jesus, or oh, when I started going to this church, the common denominator is never the dogma. It's never about the God who's going to burn you in hell forever, or the stories, the ancient stories about Jacob and Esau. All of that is completely 100% irrelevant. It has no impact whatsoever on anybody's life. What does have an impact on a person's life is the nurturing and the love and the kindness they receive from the people around them. When I quit Catholicism, and then I became a Jehovah's Witness when I was about 15 years old, and I went to California. I was living in Chicago with my family. I left and I went to live with my brother in California, and I became a Jehovah's Witness. The impact of the amount of nurturing that I got, the love, the admiration, the kindness, the attention, the time, the energy, was just overwhelming to me. I thought, wow, this is the happiest days of my life because I feel loved. I feel like I matter. I feel like I'm important because I was a little, I was a little poster child for them because my father didn't want me to be a Jehovah's Witness. And we had all these struggles and these disagreements. But it wasn't about any of the doctrine or any of the dogma from the Jehovah's Witnesses that was ever any good to me, and I don't believe to anybody else. It's the nurturing that you have there. And then when I decided that this doctrine, this dogma did not make sense to me, did not work for me as a model for life, at 20 years old, would have been about 19 or 20 years old, I was a Jehovah's Witness for about 5 years. Then what happened? Then my own brother, who was part of that cult, disowned me. All of the friends that I had that were involved in that Jehovah's Witness cult, they all disowned me. No more communication, no more interaction, no more nurturing. So what did that teach me? That taught me that that wasn't real love, that was very, very limited love, very, very conditional love. Now, these people had good hearts. These people are wonderful. But at the same time, they didn't understand how love really works. And we need to be accepting and open and nurturing to people, even if they don't have the same ideology that we do, even if they don't follow the same God that we do, even if they're not of the same political party, or even if they're not the same race as we are, even if their financial stance is different, even if they like a different sports team. But people let all these things divide us. And I experienced firsthand the devastation of what it's like to be left out in the cold, to be completely abandoned, not because of what I did, not because of who I was, but because of which ideology I chose, which religion I chose, which God I picked. And people withheld the love. They withheld the nurturing and the kindness and the attention and the time. They withheld all of that. Okay, we're cutting you off. And this is this is a very not loving thing to do. I experienced that when I was part of the Soka Gakkai group. It's absolute cult. And I was there in Los Angeles, and I saw this was the people that I dealt with were kind of very LA kind of people, extremely superficial. And I didn't experience, I met one guy who introduced me to the group. But what I saw was that most of the people in that group were also, they didn't have a nurturing model. Well, Love Buddy and the love model, the real love model, you can go to the Love Buddy website and you can get a free ebook that describes how love works and what love is. And there are 72 qualities that are defined there. And it helps you to see and understand how the real love model works. And let me tell you something. Abandonment is not part of the love model. Being there for someone, being available, being persistent, being consistent, being loyal, supporting someone, listening to them, helping them. These are all very, very obvious qualities of love. But when people become parts of these groups, the ignorance about love is astounding. It's overwhelming. People become unaware, or they follow the silly ideas. What I can't understand, there's people in my own family that believe, they're evangelical Christians that believe that if you don't please God, first of all, God has infinite power. God can do anything he wants according to them. Why do I need to do anything for that person? That individual should be doing things for me because they've got all the power to, but they're not. So this is a ridiculous model to start with. But if you don't please that God is going to torture you forever. And that's their model of love. Because what they're doing is they're conflating their messed up concept of punishment and justice with what love is. They're conflating those together. They think that if Okay, if we don't have that, then what's going to be fair? What do you mean what's going to be fair? Don't even go there. What's fair is loving people. What's fair is understanding people. And if people are a menace to society because they have some brain tumor or they have some sickness, some mental sickness of some kind, you hold them accountable to the degree that you don't allow them to hurt anybody else, and you protect other people from what the things that they do. This is a nurturing model where you're not hurting both sides. You're not allowing either side to be hurt. You're taking action. You're being conscious. You're being aware, and you're making sure that everybody's safe and sound. But it's not about punishment forever in hell. That's a ridiculous concept that has nothing to do with love at all. But millions of people actually fall for that because it's all they know. Well, few people have been in all the religions that I've been in. I've been, intimately joined 5 religions, and I've been exposed to several other religions. And I'll tell you, if the dogma leads you away from love, it's not working. It's not. And here's the perfect proof for that. These people that are in this religion are not helping out the world. They're not helping the world be a better place. A lot of times they're getting involved in activities. Take a look at the Catholic Church. A lot of great people in the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church is not the solution to pedophilia, because now the Catholic Church has a reputation. Even though I don't know how many priests there are, maybe there's millions of priests, there are enough of them that are pedophiles that it's in the news constantly. Well, I caught this guy, I caught that guy, and it's almost, in some ways, it's been found that they've even institutionalized pedophilia to where there's some kind of a system for that. And that's quite possible. That's not all the Catholics, though. But the dogma, the beliefs of that church are not protecting children from pedophiles, because it's not about love. It's about the dogma and tradition. I grew up as a Catholic. I was spend a little time in a seminary because I wanted to be a Catholic priest. So that was the first religion I was introduced to, because that was, my father was a staunch Catholic. And he was not a guy who had the opportunity, had the inclination, had the luxury of looking into other religions and understanding other religions and seeing how the game works. It's a game. And religions in general, a lot of the religions are very deceptive. They're manipulative. And they're mind viruses that get into somebody's mind and make them believe these crazy ideas. That's why we've got some people that believe that suicide bombing is going to be a good thing, that they're serving their God by going into a populated place, blowing themselves up and blowing up as many people as they can at the same time, that's somehow a good decision. Why? Because their ideology isn't love-based. Because love doesn't do things like that. Now, a lot of people in a lot of religions, they don't go to extremes. They don't have these crazy ideas. They're not pedophiles. They're not suicide bombers. They're not cold-hearted people. They're good people. But it's not because of the ideology. It's because of love. It's because they are good people and they have the common sense to listen to their heart and understand how to be a good person. Some people, they don't have the opportunity to do that, so they get involved in these crazy ideas. And this is destructive to humanity, and this is one of the problems with religion. Politics divides us as well, I see all this hate between Republicans and Democrats, people who love Trump, people who hate Trump, and all these things going on right now. It's a ridiculous waste of time, because if you turn over all your power, all the decisions, and you let these people rule about everything that you do, it's just a silly illustration, but I always think about ordering pizza. You got 350 million people. You're going to order one pizza for everybody? Some people don't like mushrooms. Some people are allergic to pepperoni. Some people don't want cheese. Some people like extra sauce. Some people like extra cheese. Some people like hot dogs in the crust. You know, there are a million kinds of pizza, and each of us should be able to have what we like. So when it comes to our lives, we should be able to make our own choices and not have one guy or one woman making all these decisions for us, especially when it comes to going to war, especially when it comes to attacking another country. If you've been conscious and aware and analytical about some of the recent wars that America's gotten into, and you've seen some of the results, it's ridiculous. So many million people getting murdered, so many of American soldiers. Here's an example. When George W. Bush reacted to 9/11, first of all, there was absolutely no credible evidence at all that Iraq was involved on any level whatsoever. And in fact, the truth came out that Iraq had nothing to do with it. And there are a lot of people that believe that Israel orchestrated that and that Saudi Arabia was also part of that. The people in the airplanes, none of the people that were flying those airplanes were even from Iraq. A lot of them were Saudis. So why did they go and attack Iraq? Well, there was some other agenda going on there, wasn't there? The American military built the largest military base in the world in Iraq in the wake of the invasion. But let's look at this. How many people died? How many people died on 9/11 from the attacks of the airplanes? A lot more than that number of people that died attacking Iraq, died in the wars that followed. So George Bush commanded his own soldiers, more of his own soldiers. We're not talking about the people in Iraq, the innocent citizens, the women and children. We're talking about the military, the U.S. military. He commanded more people to die in the wars that followed 9/11 in revenge and supposedly solving the problem of 9/11 than the people that actually died in 9/11. If you look at the math, George Bush he murdered more people by sending them to get killed in a greater number than everyone that died on 9/11 from those attacks. And what do? We stand by, we let that happen. We watch that happen. We stand by, we do nothing about it. Why? A couple of reasons. One of the key reasons, I think the biggest key reason, is nobody's taking any leadership. And that's what Love Buddy's doing. Love Buddy's taking leadership to get people more involved in their communities, for starters. But there hasn't been a way for an individual to have any impact at all on the wars that the government starts, the amount of taxes that they charge. You know, they are stealing money that you earned. That's your money. You earned that. But they made up a law that says, no, we get to take that. We get to have that. The U.S. survived for a long time without any taxes. It's a relatively new introduction to tax an individual's income. What if you didn't pay taxes? Well, there are already taxes that you pay. There's 100 taxes that you pay. You pay them to maintain the roads, the schools. You know, there's property tax that pays for all kinds of things. There are a lot of taxes that pay to make the world work, to provide the infrastructure for the country. But these taxes mostly go towards two very huge wasted areas, and one of them is military. America spends more on military by far than I think all of the countries combined. We don't have any say in that because we're not standing up for love, which is the model that can bring us into a better world. When you stand up for love, when you believe in love and you know how love works and you stand up for love, what you're doing is you're empowering yourself. And when you empower yourself, then you have the power to say, no, I don't go for that. You want me to do this to you? You want me to do that? Look at the casting couch that has become popular lately with this Me Too movement, where people are saying, yeah, I was sexually abused by that guy because I needed a job. If you're empowered, if you're not a victim of the system, how the system is set up. You can just say no. And by the way, whatever you're doing, I'm going to tell everybody. But the way it's been is people didn't stand up for love. They didn't stand up for love for themselves. They didn't stand up for love for each other. People become weak and they become the victims and they become the slaves. And most Americans are weak victim slaves. I've seen it. I've traveled all over America. And I've seen in the inner cities, and I've seen single mothers working their butts off, and I've seen them trying to provide for their families. I've seen the junk food garbage that's pushed by the corporations that are manufacturing that crap, and people don't understand. They'll see a box of sugar flakes and then they'll say, oh, new vitamin A and D fortified with vitamins. This stuff is poison. But people think, oh, because they don't know. Because there's no community center where they can go and they can get a basic education on nutrition that's an objective one that helps them to really understand the truth. They don't have time to find that out. But if there's a community center, okay, Thursday night after work, we're going to go over to the community center. We're going to talk to the nutritionist there. We're going to get this information. Community centers are going to make the difference. First, we're going to build an online community. I'm asking you to think long and hard about this. Think about this idea. Examine what I'm proposing. Examine the Love Buddy website, the Love Buddy YouTube page. Examine the Love Buddy Facebook pages, and examine the Twitter page. And see if this doesn't make sense to you. And if it does, sign up. Sign up for free. Sign up with one of the paid subscriptions, but become part of this movement. That's what the Love-a-thon is all about. I'm going to remind you, I'll be online every day for October until we can get 10,000 members. I'm going to make sure that that happens. I'm going to make sure that that happens. 10,000 members and $10,000 to get this grassroots thing off started, because we have an incredible foundation. We have a fantastic foundation, and that is love. And we know that if we work together, we can bring change to the world. We can make a better world, because I'll tell you right now, this world sucks. This world is a mess. This world could really greatly be improved because of the suffering that's going on. Because people are getting bombed for no reason. Totally innocent people are getting bombed by the leadership and by the the people who don't understand, the soldiers that think they're being loyal to their country. Don't be loyal to your country. Be loyal to your community. Be loyal to humanity. Be loyal to love. Don't be loyal to tyrants that say, oh, we want the oil there. Or we're angry, so we're going to bomb those guys into submission. If you're going to be loyal to something, be loyal to your neighbors, be loyal to community, and be loyal to love. Stand up for love. Take action. Do something, for heaven's sakes. Do something. Join Love Buddy. Be part, because we're going to make a difference, and we're going to do it. Thanks so much for listening. This is Matthew from Love Buddy. This is our last of our every hour on the hour live video that I've been doing now for 2 days. This is the 48th video, live video. I'm tired. My body needs rest. I'm fasting too, and a body that is fasting can't have this constant stress and be up every single hour doing the videos. So I'm going to give my body a little bit of a rest. I'm going to take care of myself. That's what we do when we nurture ourselves. But I did want to do this to make a point, and I hope that I reach enough people so that we can start to get things going here. That's it for now. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you have a lot of love in your life. I love you. Until next time, I'll say bye-bye for now.